All right, let's dive into one of the greatest political thrillers ever written, Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. We're talking about a story that is absolutely packed with ambition, betrayal, and speeches so powerful they can literally topple an empire. It all kicks off with this incredibly famous, ominous warning: beware the Ides of March. Just four little words, right? But they set the stage for a conspiracy that will change the world, and a fate that one of the most powerful men alive simply chooses to ignore. So, how on earth did it all come to this? Okay, so first things first, let's set the scene for how this epic Roman tragedy was born. Now, what's so wild is that Shakespeare is writing this in 1599, looking back over 1,600 years to an event in ancient Rome. But this isn't some dry history lesson. He's really using Rome as a kind of mirror for his own time, digging into these big anxieties about power and leadership that felt super urgent then, and, let's be honest, they still feel incredibly relevant today. When you strip it all down, the entire play is really wrestling with one massive question. What do you do when your loyalty to a friend is in direct conflict with your duty to your country? It's that single gut-wrenching dilemma that forces everyone to make choices that will have huge, world-changing consequences. All right, time to meet the crew. Let's get to know the key figures at the heart of all this drama. First up, of course, is the man himself, Julius Caesar. He's a war hero. The people absolutely adore him. But all that power and ambition is making some very important people very, very nervous. They look at him and they don't see a hero. They see a king in the making, a tyrant. And this is our tragic hero, Brutus. He's the moral center of the play. See, he genuinely loves Caesar as a friend, but he loves the idea of the Roman Republic even more. His entire story is this massive internal battle between his honor and his heart. Now, if Brutus is the heart, Cassius is the mastermind. He's the real engine of this conspiracy. But unlike Brutus, he's not driven by high-minded ideals. Nope. He's driven by good old-fashioned envy. He's a brilliant manipulator who knows he needs Brutus's sterling reputation to make their plot look like a noble cause. And finally, we have Mark Antony. At first, he just seems like Caesar's fun-loving, loyal sidekick. But don't let that fool you. Underneath it all, he is a political genius and a speaker who can move mountains. And his loyalty to Caesar is about to unleash an absolute firestorm. Okay, so we've met the players. Now for the main event. The plot to kill Caesar. Let's watch how this deadly game unfolds. So, everything for Brutus comes down to this. He decides Caesar has to die. Not because of anything he's actually done, but because of the tyrant he's afraid Caesar will become. It's a preemptive strike, which is exactly what makes his choice so controversial and ultimately so tragic. On the day itself, the tension is just off the charts. His wife, Calpurnia, has these terrible prophetic nightmares and begs him to stay home. He almost listens. But the conspirators show up, and they know exactly which buttons to push. They play on his pride, twist the warnings into flattery, and lead him right where they want him. And when he gets to the Senate, it all happens in a flash. They get close to him by pretending to ask for a favor. Then, chaos erupts as they stab him one after the other. And then comes the moment that changes everything. The final, most devastating cut, delivered by his trusted friend, Brutus. And you, Brutus? I mean, wow! Those are Caesar's legendary last words. In that one question, you feel all the shock, all the pain of this incredible betrayal. It's almost like the daggers didn't kill him. The realization that Brutus was one of them did. So you'd think that's the end of the story, right? Wrong. Caesar's death isn't the end. It's the spark that lights the fuse on a brutal, bloody civil war. And this, right here, is the turning point. At Caesar's funeral, Brutus gets up and gives a very calm, logical speech, explaining he did it for the good of Rome. And for a second, it works. The crowd is on his side. But then Mark Antony takes the stage and delivers an absolute masterclass in persuasion. He uses pure emotion, sarcasm, and even shows off Caesar's dead body to whip the crowd into a riot. He brilliantly turns them against the conspirators, all while saying, "But Brutus is an honorable man." As Brutus and Cassius gather their armies, the consequences of what they've done really start to weigh on them. And then things get spooky. The actual ghost of Caesar appears to Brutus, acting as this chilling symbol of his own guilt and a prophecy that things are not going to end well for him. The end is just one tragedy built on another. On the battlefield, Cassius gets some bad intel, thinks the fight is lost, and has his servant kill him. When Brutus finds out his friend is dead, he's heartbroken. He knows it's over, and rather than be captured, he runs on his own sword.
And here's the kicker. In the end, it's Mark Antony, his sworn enemy, who gives Brutus the most honorable eulogy. Antony recognizes that while all the other conspirators acted out of petty jealousy, Brutus truly, honestly believed he was doing the right thing for Rome. And that just makes his fall all the more tragic.
So after more than 400 years, why does this story still hit so hard? Why are we still talking about Julius Caesar?
Well, it's because the themes are just timeless. We're still dealing with the corrupting nature of power. We still see how easily language can be used to manipulate people. And the play asks these huge questions that we still don't have easy answers for. Like, can you ever justify violence for a greater good? It's just a perfect storm of politics, morality, and human nature.
And that's really the question Shakespeare leaves hanging in the air. When noble intentions trigger a civil war, who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? The lines get so blurry, they pretty much disappear. It's a puzzle they wrestled with back in Rome, in Shakespeare's England, and one we are definitely still trying to figure out today.